Smile more. You look so serious. Cue the slow motion death stare. Yeah, that just happened. 5 simple words, and suddenly, the room temperature doesn't just drop 5 degrees. It feels like you've accidentally opened a portal to the Arctic. If you've ever found yourself on the receiving end of that infamous INTJ glare, and then spent the next 3 days replaying every interaction, wondering what cosmic offense you committed, then stick around. Because today, we're going to decode the 5 phrases that can instantly transform your friendly neighborhood mastermind into a silent, unyielding iceberg. Trust me, you'll want to know these. All right, let's get straight to it. No fluff, no filler, no meandering philosophical detours. Because if there's one thing an INTJ tolerates even less than wasted time, it's wasted words. And frankly, that's a philosophy I can get behind. In the next few minutes, we're going to dissect exactly why certain sentences feel like sandpaper on an INTJ's brain. More importantly, we'll equip you with the knowledge of what to say instead, so you can keep the conversation flowing, the ideas sparking, and, let's be honest, the relationship running smoothly. Whether you're dating an INTJ, managing one, collaborating with one, or even if you are one and just need a handy cheat sheet to subtly slide across the table at your next social gathering. Because let's face it, small talk is a nightmare. This list is absolutely for you. Get ready to level up your communication game. 1. Can you just explain why you decided that? I don't get it. This one? This one is a classic, and it's a trap. When an INTJ reaches a conclusion, it's rarely a snap judgment. Think of it like a grandmaster in chess. They don't just see the next move. They often see 10, 15, even 20 moves ahead, envisioning the entire game, anticipating every counter-strategy, and identifying the inevitable checkmate. The final decision, the move, isn't an isolated event. It's the culmination of an incredibly complex internal simulation that's been running silently in the background for who knows how long. It's an intricate pattern that clicked into place long before any of the individual words or rationalizations even existed. So, when you ask them to just explain why, what you're essentially asking is for them to reverse engineer every single neuron that fired during that intricate subconscious process. It's like demanding a cat explain in excruciating detail the physics and neuromuscular coordination involved in landing perfectly on its feet. They will try, if they must. They'll dutifully attempt to lay out the logical steps, to verbalize the intuitive leaps, to connect the dots for you. But every single syllable will feel like stapling fog to a wall or trying to catch smoke with a sieve. It's frustrating for them because the knowing often precedes the explaining. Their dominant cognitive function, introverted intuition, NI, works by synthesizing vast amounts of information into sudden insights and understandings, not by linear step-by-step reasoning that's easily articulated on demand. It's not that they don't have a reason. It's that the reason is often a holistic, internal understanding that resists being broken down into bite-sized, easily digestible pieces for external consumption. They've already processed the data, run the simulations, and arrived at the most efficient, logical outcome. Having to backtrack and justify each micro-step feels inefficient, redundant, and frankly, a bit insulting to their internal process. It suggests you don't trust their judgment or their process. So, here's the game changer. Skip the interrogation. Don't ask for the laborious, frustrating blow-by-blow. Instead, ask for the summary, the outcome, the implication. Try something like, "What's the bottom line here?" Or, what's the key takeaway? Or even, what's the most important factor in this decision? You'll get a crisp, concise, and incredibly useful answer without triggering that existential dread of having to dissect their own brain for you. You get the information you need, and they get to move on. Their internal logic undisturbed. It's a win-win. 2. Why are you so cold or unemotional? Oh, this one. This is practically a direct hit to an INTJ's core operating system. Let's be crystal clear. They're not cold. They're calibrated. Think of it this way. Emotions, to an INTJ, are simply data points. They're signals, indicators, sometimes useful, sometimes distracting. But they are never the only or even the primary data points on their dashboard. Their internal system prioritizes logic, efficiency, and objective analysis. Telling an INTJ they're heartless is like yelling at a calculator for being rational, or scolding a surgeon for being precise. It's not a flaw. It's how they're wired, how they're designed to function optimally. They value clarity and truth above all, and sometimes emotions can muddy those waters. Their directness, their preference for cutting through the superficial to get to the core issue, can indeed come across as aloof or even harsh to those who prioritize emotional expression and social niceties. But for the INTJ, it's simply the most efficient path to understanding and problem-solving. They're not intentionally withholding warmth. They're just not prioritizing its outward display in the same way others might. They might feel deeply, but expressing those feelings externally often feels unnecessary, inefficient, or even vulnerable in a way they prefer to avoid. They tend to process their emotions internally and privately, rather than broadcasting them. If you're looking for warmth or a deeper connection, demanding that they emote more won't get you there. In fact, it'll likely push them further away. What an INTJ craves is substance, intellectual engagement, and a shared pursuit of understanding or improvement. They show care not through effusive declarations, but through meticulous problem-solving, strategic support, and insightful contributions. They show they value you by taking your ideas seriously, by dedicating their intellectual energy to your concerns, and by offering practical solutions. So, instead of the accusatory, "you're so cold," which will only make them retreat, try shifting the focus. Engage their mind, their strategic thinking. Swap it for something like, "I'd love to hear your objective take on this idea," or "What's your strategic perspective on this challenge?" Or even, if you want to connect on a more personal level, "I'm trying to figure out X, and I really value your insight on how to approach it." Watch the temperature in the room rise. When the conversation moves from nebulous feelings to concrete ideas, future casting, and strategic planning, you'll find a much more engaged, and yes, even warmer and more invested INTJ. They connect through ideas, not just emotions. 3. Let's just wing it and see what happens. Oh boy. This phrase, to an INTJ, is like asking a master architect to design a skyscraper by just throwing some bricks together and hoping for the best, or telling a seasoned pilot to skip the entire pre-flight checklist and just wing it down the runway. It sends shivers down their meticulously planned spines. Why? Because INTJs are the ultimate strategists, the grand architects of possibilities. They don't just see the present, they're constantly projecting into the future, building contingency trees, mapping out potential obstacles, and constructing elaborate risk matrices in their minds. They've already got a color-coded exit ramp for every foreseeable scenario, and probably a few unforeseeable ones too. For them, winging it isn't a fun, spontaneous adventure. It's an invitation to chaos, inefficiency, and potential disaster. It feels irresponsible. It's antithetical to their core need for control, predictability, and optimal outcomes. They thrive on structure, on having a clear plan, even if that plan needs to adapt. The idea of deliberately introducing randomness into a process just for the sake of seeing what happens is fundamentally at odds with their desire to minimize risk and maximize effectiveness. They want to be prepared, to anticipate, to outmaneuver potential problems before they even arise. This isn't about being rigid. It's about being thorough. They want to understand the variables, assess the probabilities, and then make an informed decision. Suggesting a free-for-all approach undermines their entire operational philosophy and makes them feel profoundly uncomfortable. It suggests a lack of foresight, a disregard for potential consequences, and an embrace of avoidable problems. To an INTJ, this isn't just annoying. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of how effective work gets done. So, if you want to engage an INTJ, don't throw caution to the wind. Instead, appeal to their innate desire for strategy and structure. Replace the wing it line with something like, "Here's the goal, and here's the deadline. How should we structure this project to achieve the best outcome?" Or, "What's your proposed strategy for tackling this?" Or even, "What potential pitfalls do you foresee, and how can we plan around them?" Strategy turns them on. Chaos, on the other hand, turns them off faster than a bad internet connection. They want to build, to optimize, to execute with precision. Give them a framework, and they will fill it with brilliance. 4. You're overthinking it. If you want to witness an INTJ's internal circuits short circuit, just drop this phrase. Overthinking isn't a bug. It's their factory setting. It's their superpower, their default mode of engagement with the world. INTJ don't just walk down a rabbit hole. They explore rabbit holes for sport. And when they surface, they're not just holding the rabbit. They've got the hat, a 10-page treatise on prestidigitation, and a meticulously diagrammed escape route from Wonderland, just in case. Their minds are constantly sifting, analyzing, connecting, and projecting, trying to understand every angle, every implication, every potential outcome. Telling an INTJ they're overthinking is the verbal equivalent of unplugging their computer mid-code or hitting the reset button on their brain just as they're about to crack a complex problem. It's dismissive. It invalidates their entire cognitive process. It implies that their deep analysis is unnecessary, a waste of time, or even a flaw. For them, this deep dive isn't just a habit. It's how they make sense of the world, how they identify patterns, anticipate problems, and ultimately, how they arrive at robust, well-considered solutions. Their value often lies precisely in their ability to see what others miss, to consider the long-term implications, and to dissect problems to their foundational elements. When you say you're overthinking it, you're essentially telling them to stop being themselves, to stop using their most powerful tool. It shuts down their intellectual curiosity and their problem-solving drive. It suggests that superficiality is preferred over depth, and that's something an INTJ simply cannot abide. They need to understand the critical variables, the hidden dependencies, the potential cascading effects. It's not about getting stuck. It's about ensuring thoroughness and avoiding future errors. So instead of trying to shut down their analytical engine, redirect its immense power. Acknowledge their depth, and then help them focus it. Try something like, "What's the single most critical variable you're tracking right now?" Or, "Given all your analysis, What's the most significant risk we need to mitigate? Or can you distill the key insights from your deep dive into 3 actionable points? This approach leverages their analytical strength, encourages them to refine their thoughts, and provides a clear path forward, rather than demanding they retreat from their natural process. They'll appreciate the intellectual challenge and the recognition of their thoroughness. 5. Can you just be more social and small-talky? All right, let's be brutally honest here. Small talk is kryptonite for an INTJ. It's not that they're inherently antisocial or incapable of basic pleasantries. It's that small talk is, for them, an utterly draining, pointless exercise in superficiality. They crave depth the way marathoners crave carbs after a long run. Their minds are built for complex ideas, strategic discussions, and meaningful connections. Forcing them to engage in prolonged chatter about the weather, weekend plans, or the latest celebrity gossip is like asking a high-performance Tesla to run on coal. It's inefficient, it's frustrating, and it actively depletes their limited social energy without providing any discernible value. They find it exhausting because their minds are constantly seeking patterns, meaning, and purpose. Small talk offers none of that. It's a series of disconnected, often pre-programmed social exchanges that feel hollow and inauthentic. They'd rather sit in comfortable silence, or better yet, engage in a robust debate about quantum physics or the geopolitical implications of AI. Their introverted nature means social interaction, especially without a clear purpose or intellectual stimulation, costs them energy rather than energizing them. They don't mind connecting, but they want it to matter. This isn't about snobbery. It's about efficiency and authenticity. They want real conversations about real ideas with real people. They want to learn, to challenge, to be challenged. Superficial pleasantries simply don't scratch that intellectual itch. They see small talk as a barrier to genuine connection, not a bridge. It's a social ritual they tolerate out of necessity, but they certainly don't enjoy it. So, if you want to truly connect with an INTJ, don't push them into the shallow end of the conversational pool. Replace the dreaded, "let's mingle" with something that signals depth and purpose. Try. Let's skip the chit-chat. What project are you obsessing over right now? Or, I've been thinking about insert complex topic here. What's your take? Or even, what's the most interesting thing you've learned recently? You'll unlock a 2-hour conversation that feels like 5 minutes, and you'll never look at humidity the same way again. By inviting them into a space of intellectual engagement, you're speaking their language and tapping into what truly energizes them. You'll find a passionate, insightful, and surprisingly engaging conversationalist hiding behind that serious facade. All right, INTJ, your turn. If you're out there watching this, what's that one sentence that makes you mentally exit the chat faster than a bad Zoom meeting? Drop it in the comments below so the rest of us can add it to our never say list. And hey, if you found these insights useful and you're looking for more quick-hit personality hacks, strategic communication tips, and straight-up practical advice, because remember, no fluff here, then mash that subscribe button. No small talk, just straight strategy. So, there you have it. 5 phrases to avoid, 5 instant facepalms, and 5 ways to completely derail a perfectly good interaction with an INTJ. But more importantly, we've given you the alternatives, the secret handshake, the cheat codes to turn potential friction into genuine traction. Remember, INTJ aren't trying to be difficult. They're not trying to be aloof. They're trying to be effective, efficient, and authentic. They're operating from a place of deep internal logic and a relentless pursuit of understanding and improvement. Respect the mental motherboard. Acknowledge their complex internal processes. Ask for the executive summary, not a laborious re-explanation of their entire thought process. Keep the conversation aimed at ideas, at strategy, at meaningful concepts, not idle air or superficial pleasantries. Do that, and that infamous INTJ death stare. It won't just soften, it'll transform into a respectful nod, a sign of mutual understanding and intellectual camaraderie. And that, my friend, is checkmate with no casualties. Go forth and communicate wisely.